Shalom. Believe it or not, we're on chapter 5 already. If anybody wants to join, invite link. Hey Garth. Yeah, the fires are at least 2 miles away. That's my little joke. I live in a place where fire isn't my personal apartment is not in any danger whatsoever. Um, because I can't afford to live in the places where you're surrounded with that much. Um, I mean, the place I lived right before where I live now, I got evacuated once, but that's because I lived in the North Valley. Like that, that's far. Now I live pretty centrally, where the 10 and the 405 freeways meet, and frankly, um, there's nothing to burn around here, really. Um, I'm Trey's family. I do have family who got no tree line streets for me. Yeah, certainly not the types of places that where there's the wildfires. Um, the air hasn't been so bad. Um, I mean, I can see the smoke and stuff when I take Happy for a walk. Um, my aunt got one of my aunts got evacuated, and her place I is yeah, she's right up where that could be bad. And my and I know Trey and Betamax, both of them um, are from the Palisades. So yeah, they have family up there. So okay, we got all the way to chapter 5 of um, Sefer Iyov. Krana hayesh oneka ve'el mikdoshim tifnei. Interesting. Hey, John. Yes, thank you. I'm actually more worried about you guys now that there's people. There's been a lot of people setting fires, partially because arsonists know that um, right now is a very good time for them to do that successfully, and they can't help themselves. People, pyromaniacs, really like this is, and we've got millions of people in Los Angeles. So I'm actually more worried about you out there, John. Yeah, I've seen videos trying to start fires. Yeah, and frankly, I mean, if somebody wants to start a fire out where you are, especially, I mean, should I show this video? Should I interrupt my Bible study for this stupidity? Sure, why not? Nobody said. Did you guys see this video? My God.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Can you believe
you want
this
to
woman?
see somebody that
She is the assistant fire chief for DEI, and she's blaming the people who may need her assistance. I just, this woman gets paid $400,000 a year. $400,000 a year. Assistant fire chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department. Back to the book of Job. Kara na hayesh oneka mi niktashim. Call now, is there any that will answer thee? And to which of the holy ones wilt thou turn? Ki le'evil yahareg ka'ash. Ka'as? Oh, ka'as written with a sin. Interesting. Okay. For anger kills the foolish man. Interesting. Upote tamit kin'ah. And envy slays the simpleton. Oh, pote being the same as petit. Okay. Ani ra'iti avil mashrish ve'ekov navehu pitom. I have seen the foolish taking root, and suddenly I cursed his dwelling, saying, ve'ekov navehu pitom. Okay. I got to show that video to my wife. Yes, now that you're married, Mr. Natwick, I'm grateful you put out the fire, but you're not black. Anira iti avil mashrish. There we go. I have seen the foolish taking root. Yirchaku banav meyesha. Let his children be far from safety. V'yitak'u b'sha'ar v'ein matzil. They're doing this in the let, as in he wants that to happen. And let them be crushed in the gate with none to rescue them. Asher ketziro ra'ev, let the hungry eat up his harvest. He whose harvest is hunger. Ra'ev yochal. Ve'el mitzinim yikachehu. And take it to the thorn hedges. The el mitzinim yikachehu. Okay. V'sha'af tzamim chelam. And let the thirsty swallow up their substance. Okay. V'sha'af tzamim chelam. Kilo yetze ma'afar aven, for affliction does not come out of the dust. Ume'adama lo yitzmach amal, nor does trouble spring out of the ground. Toil, I would usually translate amal, but ki adam la'amal yulad, for man is born for toil. They translated it trouble, but this is, this is hearkening back to Genesis 1 with the language, and translating it as trouble doesn't do that. Ubenei reshef yadbihu uf, as the sparks fly upward. Uvnei reshef yagbihu uf. Okay. Ulam ani edrosh el, but I would seek to God. Ve'el Elohim asim divrati, and to God I will commit my cause. Oseh gedolot ve'ein cheker niflaot ad ein mispar. This gets quoted a lot. Who does great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. I think this is also a verse in Psalms, isn't it? Hanoten matar al pnei haaretz v'sholeach mayim al pnei chutzot. This is in the liturgy. Who gives rain upon the earth and sends water upon the fields. Lasum shefalim lemarom vekodrim sagvu yesha. To set up on high those who are low. Lasum shefalim lemarom. Okay. That those who mourn may be exalted to safety. Vekodrim sagvu yesha. Okay. Kodrim, they're translating as those who mourn. Mefer machshavot arumim, he frustrates the devices of the crafty. Velot ha'asena yedehem tushia, so that their hands cannot perform their policy. Policy. I don't know if I like that policy. Loched chachamim ba'armam, he catches the wise in their craftiness. Okay. Va'atzat niflatam, niftalim. Niftalim is rash. Nimhara is crooked. Okay, niftalim. Petal is a wick. Nimhara. Yomam yefakshu choshech. They meet with darkness in the daytime. V'chalayla yemashishu batzahoraim, and grope in the noonday as in the night. Vayosha mecherev mefihem, but he saves from the sword. Umiyad chazak evion, from the enemy's mouth, and the poor from the hand of the mighty. V'tihi ladal tikva, and for the poor there will be hope. V'olata kafza piha, and iniquity stops her mouth. Hine ashrei enosh yochichenu. Kodrim, those, yeah, I thought Kedar, like Kedar. Yeah. Kodrim, those in darkness. So that's what they're translating as mourners. Twisted, Patil, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Patil. Okay. Hine asher enosh yochichenu Eloah. Umusar shakai al tim'as. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the Almighty. Is this referencing other things, or is this in the liturgy? Because a lot of these verses sound really familiar. And I figured maybe from Psalms, or Kihu yachiv veyachbash yemchatz veyadav tirpena, for he makes sore and binds up. He wounds, but his hands make whole. Yimchatz v'yadav tirpena. Okay. B'shesh tzarot yatzileka. He will deliver thee in 6 troubles. Why 6? Uvesheva lo yiga b'cha ra. And in 7 no evil shall touch thee. Bera'av podcha mimavet. In famine he will redeem thee from death. Ubimilchama miyadei charev. And in war from the power of the sword. Veshot lashon techaveh. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Veshot lashon techaveh. Okay. Velo tira mishod ki yavo. Nor shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it comes. Mishod ki yavo. Shod is destruction. Shmad. Okay. Leshod ulachafan, destruction and famine. Tischak, you will laugh. Umechayat haaretz al tira. Interesting. I looked up, because of Pajot's whole thing of Jesus didn't laugh. I looked up where in the Bible it says God laughs. There's 3 places in Psalms, and in all of them it uses sahak with a sin. And it reminded me of is it a midrash, or it might be a Kabbalistic thing, where it says Yitzchak will turn into Yishak b'acharet hayamim, from tzchok to tzchok, and that's why there's a particular verse where Isaac is spelled with a sin. I forget where that verse is. Verse 16, V'tihi ledal tikva v'olata kofza piha, was a pun, by the way. Can it also be read that a bucket has a rope? Oh, ladal tikva, by which it is raised to v'olata kofza piha. Aha! Okay, yeah, that's cute. Yeah, okay. V'tehi ledal tikva v'olata kofza piha. Yeah, I see it. Thank you. Okay. Umechayat haaretz al tir'ah. As at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, nor shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Ki'im avnei hasadeh britecha. For thou shalt be in league, in covenant, with the stones of the field. V'chayat hasadeh lama lach. The wild beasts shall be at peace with thee. I'm wondering why it's using the word sadeh twice. V'yadata ki shalom ohalecha ufagadata navecha v'lo techata. And thou shalt know that thy tent is at peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt miss nothing. A lot of this, yeah. V'yadata ki rav zaracha v'tzetzecha ke'esev haaretz. Amen. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thy offspring as the grass of the earth. Tavo kechelach, chelach, elei kaver. Thou shalt come to thy grave with a rich harvest. Chelach is a rich harvest. Ka'alot gadish be'ito, like a full sheath of corn, which comes up in its season. הנה זאת חקרנוה כן היא שמענה ואתה דע לך. Lo, this we have searched it, so it is, hear it and know it for thy good. Okay. Let's see what the Malbim has to say. Open. קרא, אחר שהודיע התשובה שהשיג על זה בנבואה, after he explains his prophetic answer, אמר עליו, בל יתפלא מדוע בהתהווה התשובה, don't wonder why in that the answer בהתהווה התשובה על ידי אליפז ולא בא הקדוש שהוא מלאך המגיע את הנבואה והמענה על יסורי איוב עליו בעצמו אמר עליו. A lot of back references to the previous chapters. In the Malbim or the thing, I'm not sure I understand what he's saying, and this is one of the ones that didn't get translated. V'hama'aneh al Yisurei Iyov elav ba'atzmo amar alav. I mean, I think he's going off of the actual verses and reading into them. אתה קרא נא והתפלל שיגיע התשובה אליך היש עונך. Will someone answer you? ועל מי מקדושים רוצה לומר מן המלאכים הקדושים תפנה שידבר עמך וידוך מעשה בחזיון או בחלום. Job 5 goes back multiple places to Job 4. Yeah, and a bit to Job 3. Yeah. Well, you mean that's why I might be recognizing so many of the verses? It sounded a lot like it reminds me a lot of Psalms. I don't know which ones though. I thought maybe. I don't know. Nach is for girls. What are we doing with studying Nach? He's explaining the words, the exact words, right? The holy ones, right? The Elmi Mikdoshim, right? He's explaining would be the angels. Ki la'avi lihareg ka'as, and this time they spelled ka'as with a samach. Sha'achar shahayiti ivel umesupak b'hashgahat Hashem. שהייתה איבל ומסופק בהשגחת השם, אינך ראוי שיופיע אליך דבר השם וקדושים. Right? You were angry, you didn't trust God, and that's why you're not getting an answer. וגם השיב לו בזה לעומת מה שהחיש את הבחירה, ואמר שהאדם מוכרח במעשיו מצד הכוכבים, הגוזרים כל פרטי פעולותיו, ברר לו שזה שקר. So he answers him that it's not true that everything is set by the stars. כי ראינו שהכעס יהרוג את האבל. You see that a angry person dies in his foolishness, ולא מצד הגזרה הכתומה, רק על ידי בחירתו שבחר בכעס. Right? He chose to be angry, he chose to act in anger, ובקנאה, and with jealousy, זה יגרום לו עבדונו, and that caused him to be destroyed. הרי שהאדם חופשי במעשיו. You see that people do have an effect in what they do. ובחירתו הרעה היא הגורמת לו מוות ואבדון. And it's his choice which causes him to die. אני ואשר בעלי האצטגנינין מביאים, who are the בעלי האצטגנינין? What's an אצטגנין? אצטגנין, לשון חז"ל, חוזה בכוכבים. Astrologers. Okay. מביאים ראיה שפעולות האדם מוכרחות מפאת המזל, that it comes from the constellations, ואין השתדלות מועיל מאומה, and he can't really change things, במה שקרה כמה פעמים שאיש אחד יתעשר פתאום. And you see sometimes people become wealthy quickly. מבלי שום יגיעה והשתדלות, without actually working for it, ואיש אחר ייגע ועמל. My camera went off. There we go. And you see other people who do toil, להתעשר, to become rich, ולא הניח מלהכין כל ההכנות, and he did not stop from preparing himself in every way, המובילים אל התכלית הזה, those things which would bring him to this end, ויתעשר, שיתיישר, that he would become rich, וכל זה לא הועיל לו מאומה, and still it didn't happen. וזה אות ומופת אצלם, and this is a sign for them, שהכל תלוי בגזרה ובמזל ואין השתדלות מועיל. That everything comes from fate. על זה השיב אליפז, אליפז answers this, כי הוא ראה ובחן שמי שיתעשר פתאום לא יתקיים עושר זה ביד בניו. He says, this isn't something that's going to last for their children. וזה שכתוב, אני ראיתי אבל משריש נבהו פתאום, ועקוב משריש נבהו פתאום, יחקו בניו מישע. רוצה לומר, so he's explaining that verse, right? The person, that a foolish person takes root, but his children are not saved. רוצה לומר, ראיתי אבל שלא זרע ולא עמל. And I saw a foolish person who did not plant nor toil. וכל זה פתאום השריש. Suddenly he found root, nevehu, in his nave tehillah, his abode. בחזקה, ויעש שורש למטה ופרי למעלה. And it looked like, hey, this is something great, right? Has roots below and fruits above. דהיינו, שהתעשר פתאום, בלא שום השתדלות ואז אקוב ואדבר. So I'm going to explain דיבור מפורש, על מי שהשריש נבהו פתאום, somebody who had this sudden success, ששורשים האלה לא יתקיימו ביד בניו, that they're not going to last for his children, כי בניו יהיו רחוקים מישע. So that's the end of the verse. וקניינים אלה לא יתקיימו בידיהם, כי הגם שיתקעו בשער, that they will be broken by the gates, המשפט, the gates of justice, ששם יושבים השופטים, וכל זה אין מציל there is no one to help them. Lo yimtza mi sheyariv rivam, ki la'asher ba ha'osher shelo b'mishpat, ken yikale lo velo yitkayem. Somebody who doesn't get things through righteousness, it won't last. Asher, רוצה לומר, ואני ראיתי אשר קצירו רעב יאכל, שבהפך ראה איש שיגע ועמל במעשיו ואוכל קצירו כשהוא רעב. That when he saw somebody who was hungry and ate his harvest, רוצה לומר שאין לו מה לאכול עד שהגיע את הקציר שקוצר תבואה שזרה ביגיע כפיו. That a person really cannot eat until he gets to the harvest of that which he planted. וכן אני ראיתי אל האיש אשר מצנין ייקחהו, שיקח את הקציר מבין הקוצים. That somebody who gathers from among the thorns, שבורר תבואתו מן צנים וקוצים שמתערבים בהתבואה, that he gets his food from between the thorns and thorns that got into it. שזה המשיג אוכלו בעמל רב ובזיעת אפו יאכל לחם. So this is somebody who has to work hard in order to eat. שאף צמים חילם. ראיתי שהאיש הזה הנהנה מיגיע כפיו, הוא שואף ובולע צמים וקשורים של חילם. רוצה לומר, חיל בניו המשריש נבהו פתאום, שהאושר של האבל המשריש נבהו פתאום לא יתקיים ביד בניו, רק הוא שמור באחרית לאיש הנהנה מיגיע כפו, אשר קצירו רעב יאכל שהוא ירשנו. So he's explaining in the words how he understands that in the end, the people who worked hard and went hungry actually receive the reward. כי ממליץ, כי השורש אשר השריש המשריש נבהו פתאום באבן ושלא במשפט, לא יצא מעפר וגם לא יצמח מהאדמה ולא יעשה פרי, והטעם הוא כי אדם לעמל יולד. Okay, he's explaining in the words why his explanation actually does work in the words, and I kind of agree with him. I mean, his reading is very interesting, and I think I like the translation better than the translation we were reading. Shahadam nolad la'amol be'yegia kabav, that a person was born to work. ובעמלו יביא לחמו ועושה עושר שלו בעמל להגיע כפיים, הוא עמל ואבן ולא יצמיח ולא יתקיים ביד בניו. סוף דבר שעיקר הצלחת האדם תלוי, עיקר הצלחת האדם תלוי בהשתדלותו, והעמל יגיע כפיו. ולא כדבר שאמרת שהצלחת האדם נגזר מבני רשף, שהם כיתות הכוכבים, שהם שולחים ניצוציהם והשפעותיהם למטה ופועלים בעולם השפל על כל מעשה בני האדם. כי בני רשף יגביהו עוף, שהכוחות הרוחניות, השמימיות הנוזלים הכוכבים, בני רשף, אלה יגבירו עוף למעלה, שמעופף גבוה ומרומם מן העולם השפל, ואין בכוחם לפעול על העולם השפל להרע או להטיב. So he's explaining how that relates to, at the end, it says that it will fly up, right? He's saying that it's not a spiritual matter that comes from the heavens. Yeah. It honestly, like, it's a different translation of the actual words, which is why I understand why this Dr. Jeremy Pfeiffer, who did the translation we have here in English, actually just translated Okay, can you hear me? Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't hear me, say something. Here, let me check if I can hear me. Okay. Where were we? And there's Sandy. Hey, Sandy. Okay. Where were we? Yeah. So he was explaining that. Okay. Ulam. Achar shesatar da'at Eov. After he disagreed with him. בהוראת המערכת והוכיח כי האדם בכירי ושליט במעשיו, that a person is free to actually make choices, והשתדלותו תעשה פרי, and trying actually has rewards. אמר שאם אמנם כבר נראה מצד אחר, שלפעמים אין אדם שליט בבחירתו. See that sometimes it's not a person who gets to decide what happens. וראינו פעמים רבות שהאדם יכין כל האמצעים הנצרכים להפקת איזה תכלית, ולא לבד שלא ישיג התכלית המכוון. Not only doesn't he get there, שבהפך האמצעים האלה בעצמם יהיו סיבה שיגיע להפך המכוון. Sometimes you see that he gets to the opposite thing even through the manner of the things that he did. שבהפך האמצעים האלה בעצמם יהיו סיבה שיגיד המכוון. באופן שמזה נראה שמעשה האדם מוכרחים על ידי איזה כוח עליון, that we see that things come from a higher power, המניע הפך רצונו, which is against what he wants, ובחירתו, and his choices, ובל תביא מזה ראיה שההכרח בזה הוא מצד המערכה השולטת על מעשה בני אדם הבכירים. Don't think that this comes from some divine, some astrological order, right? רק כי בעניינים כאלה הכוללים שבה תבוטל בחירת האדם ומעשיו, הם הכרחיים, אני אכנס ההכרח הזה אל השגחת השם. So this, here he says, now turn to God, I look to God. It's like, with those things, I would say that it's divine providence. ועל זה אמר, אולם אני אדרוש and I'm going to look towards God. שרק על ידי השגחת האל תבוטל הבחירה לפעמים, that because of God's providence, sometimes a person's choices are in fact overcome. ואל אלוקים אשים ויכעס דברתי והנהגתי, right? So I'm going to turn towards God, לא אל המערכה, not towards the constellations, רק אל ההשגחה, but divine providence, שיש עניינים שההשגחה תבטל את הבחירה, והביא על זה מופת החיפוש שהלא ראינו כי עושה גדולות ואין חקר, right? So he's going to turn towards things which we know, right? That God does great miracles, שהם הגדולים שנראים בהנהגת הטבע הסדורה מששת ימי הבראשית, וגם נפלאות עד אין מספר, right? So, that come from the 6 days of creation and the uncountable miracle שהם המעשים אשר יעשה נגד הטבע ויחלת what is the, what you call it? If you really want to, sure, but I think we've done this before. Trey wants me to do. Let me finish. Let me finish some Torah and pretend I actually believe in God for a little bit. What is that Roshei Tevot? Bilti ba'al tachlit, that have things that have no end. B'bal tashchit, b'ben Torah, b'bal teshuvah, b'bal teshuvah. Not sure what his thing is. Neged hateva beyachalato ha-bli tachlit is probably the Rosh Tevot there. V'tafas shnei rayot lamashal u'lamofet, he gives 2 examples. Raya achat min ha'anaga hanir'eh mimenu b'inyanim ha'kolim, v'hu ki hu hanoten matar al pnei ha'aretz, that we see that God makes rain happen. ובמקומות אשר למטר השמיים ישתו מים, ובמקומות אשר לא יעלו שם עדים להורות גשמי נדבות כמו במצרים ובאיזה מקומות באפריקה, אז שולח מים על פני חוצות, that he sends their water through other means, which is rivers. נמצא שם יאור המתמלא בכל שנה ממי גשמים שיורדים במדינה אחרת, והוא עולה על גדותיו ומשקה את הארץ ומולידה ומצמיחה, right? That gives it the water that it needs, כיאור נילוס, like the Nile River, בארץ מצרים, in Egypt, ודברים האלה מעידים ומגידים שיש השגחה פרטית, משקפת שלא יחסר מים בכל המקומות אשר הכין ליישוב בני האדם, right? That everything has its place, כי הדבר המתפשט בכל הארץ במידה משוערת, בחוכמה נפלאה, אי אפשר לייחס אל המקרא, something that is so perfectly adjusted cannot be by chance, והמטר בכללו הוא מכוון אל התכלית הכללי לשני דברים. לשום, לשום שפלים למרום, להעלות הצמיחים, להעלות מן השפל אל הרום, לרומם אותם להצמיחם, right? That he causes things to grow. שניים, כי הקודרים שהם גופי בעל החיים, הקודרים ונצרבים מן החום. So he translates kodrim as animals. סגבו ישע, על ידי שהמטר ילך וירטיב גופי הבעל החיים. So the word kedar is used for the skins of tents, and one explanation is that they're dark. I think his explanation here is that they're leather, and that's why it's used. That's how he's explaining kodrim. והם שני התכליות הנראים מצורך המטר, כמו שכתוב העיקרים, right, like is written in that book, The Essentials, ספר העיקרים. I forget who wrote that. ומזה מבואר שהוא בהשגחה פרטית, כי המקרא לא יכוון אל התכלית. הראיה השנית מן ההשגחה הנראית בעניינים החלקיים, וזה יהיה משני פנים. So, and there's also a second, which comes from the obvious providence of God in particular matters. One, ki ra'inu asher lif'amim mafer machshavot arumim. We see that God sometimes undoes the plans of the cunning. Sharumim asher yesh otam tiv ha'etza ve'hatachbolot lahara lebriot. Right? They sometimes devise all kinds of horrible things for people. Hashem yafer machshavotam ad shelo ta'asena yedehem toshia, until they don't actually do anything. Velo tetzeh atzatam el hapoel, they can't actually achieve their plans. Kamo shahaya ba'achitofel asher he'id elav hakatuv. So this is from Achitophel and Absalom in 2 Samuel. Shahayta atzato beyamim hahem ka'asher yish'al ish b'devar ha'elokim. ואם היה אבשלום שומע אז לעצתו, היה הורג את דוד. That if he had listened, if Absalom had listened, he would have killed David. והיה בהשגחת השם שלא נעשתה עצתו. And it was God's divine providence that it didn't happen. זאת שנית, כי לפעמים יהיה בהפך, כי לוקד חכמים בארמים. And sometimes it's the other way around. Sha'et yivcharu hachamim arma v'tachbula lahara lachavrehem. Sometimes wise people try to do something against their colleagues. Lo yaferet atzatam, and it's God doesn't undo it. רק יסבב בהשגחתו האמצעים שהכינו בעצתם להרע, הם עצמם יהיו סיבה שיגיע ההפך. Sometimes their ways that they themselves chose cause it to be the other way around. Kamo shahaya ba'achrei Yosef, like we see with the brothers of Joseph. שהאמצעים שהכינו שלא יעלה יוסף לגדולה על ידי make sure that he doesn't become great, so, by selling him as a slave. הגם שלפי הטבע היה מחויב שיצא מזה התכלית הנרצה, כי העבד אי אפשר שיצליח וימשול, right? Because that's what you would think would happen, that a slave would not be able to become a ruler. סבב השם בהשגחתו שזה עצמו היה הסיבה להצלחתו ולגדולתו עד שהיו אחיו לא לעבדים, until his brothers became servants to him. באופן זה לוקד את החכמים עם ערמם ותחבולתם שבזה בעצמם ילכדו, that they get caught up in it themselves. ואז עצת נפתלים נמהרה, and therefore the twisted advice that was made quick. אז ימהר השם את עצתם ולא יפר אותם. He actually quickens it as opposed to undoes it. כמו שהיה ביוסף שלא בטל השם עצתם, רק הסכים עמהם שימהר Yosef le'eved, right? God let that happen. Ya'an she'atzatam zot hayta nachona me'et Hashem, that it was made right according to God. She'al yedei zeh ya'aleh le'gedula v'achav yishtachavu lo, and his brothers would bow down to it. Yomam shav el shnei ha'inyanim shehizkir. So he goes back to the two things that he spoke about. So now he's saying by the day, it will be like night for them. שבצד הראשון שמפר מחשבות ערומים שלא ימצאו עצה. שבצד הראשון שמפר מחשבות ערומים שלא ימצאו עצה. Hello, Rabbi. That on the one side, that he undoes the plans of the cunning. Az yomam yifakshu choshech. During the day, they will meet darkness. Ki yachshich lahem et hayom ad she'ein or ha'etza b'metziut klal ubetzad hasheni sheloked chachamim ba'armam az klila yemashishu bet zoharayim. Right, that they grasp around like it were night in midday. Sha'az hatzoharayim v'ha'or, the light and noon, shehi ha'etza, hu nimtza, it is found. Rak hem yemashishu bo ke'ilu haya layla, but they're actually grasping it as if it's night. Ki atzatam hitayafech lara lahem, that it becomes the opposite. V'yosha ba'ar lama yashkiach Hashem hashgacha zot lahafer machshavot arumim o lahasev et atzatam ulebetel bechirat ha'adam v'ishtadluto שזה יעשה כדי להושיע מחרב ומפיהם ומיידיהם של החזקים את האביון. God does all of these things in order to save the poor from the strong. שאז לא היה משגיח בעניינים הבכירים לבטל את עצת החזקים והעריצים אשר יכינו להרע לחבריהם. לא היה אפשר שיתקיימו הנשים. People would end up destroying themselves. כי העריצים והחזקים שהם רבים תמיד היו בולעים את האביונים, because the strong would swallow up the weak, wouldn't they, Shadow? Yes, they would. V'hayu b'nei adam degei hayam, and people would be like fish in the sea. Shahagadol boleat katan, that the bigger ones. Let me check and see if this kitty is hungry, because it's possible that I have not fed her like I should. Yes, this kitty is hungry. Commercial break for cat food. Okay. Okay. O al yedei cherev milchama, or through swords in war. O al yedei pe velashon hara, or through speaking and gossiping. O beyadayim peulot poalim ra, or hands that do bad things. V'lachen yashkiach al hachalashim lahatzilam. God watches over the weak to save them. V'hara shel harashaim lo yaspik lahashchit et min ha'enoshi, so that evil people would not be able to destroy all of humanity. Ki hu nishmar al yedei hashkachat Hashem, v'al yedei chen v'tehi ledal tikva, and so there will be for the weak, for the poor, hope. She'im haya hishtadlut mo'il b'kol hadvarim lo haya shum tikva, then there wouldn't be any hope. Ki im ribui harashaim v'haritzim sheyesh ba'olam shekol kavanatam laharog et hachalashim lishlol shlalam, because horrible people would do horrible things. Ve'im ribui hishtadlutam b'zeh lo haya efshar sheitkayem hadal v'chalush, so the weak and the poor would not be able to live. V'lo haya lo shum tikva lehinatzel mira'atam v'al yedei hashkachat Hashem al hadalim v'chalashim lehatzilam mira'atam al yedei chen ha'ole tikpatz piha. Ki yiru sheyesh mashkiach elyon asher ya'amod liyamin evyon latzilo. When they see that there is a God to stop them, they will close their mouth. Hine acharei sheba'ar ki peulat ha'adam hem ketzatam bechiriyim ketzatam mechrachim al yedei hashkacha, shows that some of them are free and some of them are through divine providence. Yomar ki gam ken hayisaron habayim al ha'adam hayisurim, the tests that come upon a man. Hagam shaharbe mehem hem bechirim habayim alav al yedei ro'a bechirato, kamo shekatuv ki le'avel yarag ka'as, kamo hamarbe b'machal ad shechala choli techurim, o mesagel ad shenachla gufo, because זה נמצא גם כן ייסורים השכחיים הבאים בהשכחת Hashem לכפר ולמרק עוונותיו. Right? So he then explains that just as some things come through naturally because you eat too much and you become sick, also there are illnesses that happen in order to atone and to wipe away your sins. Or להשיבו בתשובה, or to bring him to repentance. והגם שהייסורים הבכיריים הם רעים בהחלט, and even and even though that the free sufferings are very bad, כמו שכתוב, כי לאבל ירג כעס, right? Like a person who, through a foolish person who dies through his anger, כי סחו אל רפאים מעגלותיהם, לא כן הייסורים וההשגחתיים הם אך טוב וחסד. But the bad things, the suffering that happens through divine providence, they're actually a mercy. בין הייסורים הבאים עליו כדי להשיבו אל דרך הטוב בעתיד, whether they are meant to cause him to repent. שעל זה אמר אשרי אנוש יוכיחנו אלוה, right? So he says, happy is the person who God chastises. שהם ייסורים קלים הבאים כדי להוכיח דרכו לטוב, things that come to turn him towards goodness. בין הייסורים הקשים הבאים למרק חטאים שכבר חט בעבר, שעל זה אמר ומוסר שקי al timas, גם כן al timas. And even the Almighty's reproof, you should not turn away from. כי מפרש נגד שני אלה, נגד התווכחה שהוא לתקן התוכחה שהוא לתקן דרכו בעתיד, שזה דומה כחובש מטלית סביב המכה, בל תתפשט הלאה. So he's explaining this verse, right? Just as someone would hu yachiv uvaze yachbash, right? That sometimes somebody gets sore and so he doesn't move so much and things don't get worse. Chovesh saviv hamakeh. So lomar shebazeh yisach dalatim ba'ad ragshut hanefesh bal yosif lachto, right? That it keeps a person from sinning more. V'neged hamusar sheba le'asero al avanotav shavru amar yemchatz v'yadav terpe'enu שגם אם ימחץ בייסורים גדולים למרק חטא העבר, that even if a person is split by those things that come to wipe away his previous sins, וזה בעצמו ידיו תרפנה, that this itself will release him. כמי שנותן סמים מרים אל החולה לרפואה, שמרירות הסם הוא עצמו הרפואה. Just like somebody would give bitter herbs as a to purge a person, that itself is the medicine. ושש, אחר שבער טעם ייסורי הצדיק שבאים למערכת העבר או לתקן לדרכו, שזה עצמו מה שהזכיר שבא לו בנבואה, שאי אפשר שימצא צדיק אשר יעשה טוב ולא יחטא, כמו שכתוב האנוש מאלוקה יצדק, הוסיף מדעתו שלפעמים תבוא רעה על האדם והיא באמת לטובתו להצילו, על ידי זה מרעה יותר גדולה אשר לא היה ניצל ממנה כלל. לפעמים יבוא עליך 6 צרות, רוצה לומר צרות הרבה. So when he says 6 with 6, he means 6 he means many bad things that might happen to you in order to prevent you from sinning or such. רוצה לומר צרות הרבה, ובשש צרות אלה יצילך מן הצרה השביעית המסוכנת מאוד. Right? And through this, the six tzarot, the six difficulties, you won't come to the seventh, which would be the worst. Ad sha'al yedei ze b'sheva lo yiga bach ra. לא ייגע בך רע הרעה השביעי כמו שמבאר במשלים. Like he explains it with analogies. ברעב פותחה ממוות, with in a famine he redeems you from death. לפעמים יביא עליך רעב ובזה עצמו יפתה אותך ממוות. And sometimes he brings you famine, which itself keeps you from dying. למשל שהמדינה שאתה יושב בה עתידה להתהפך על ידי רעש הארץ. Let's say there was going to be a earthquake. והוא מביא עליך רעב, and he causes a famine עד שתוכרח לצאת, until you are forced to leave אל הארץ אחרת, to a different place, לבקש לחם, to find food, ובזה ניצלת מן המוות שהייתה מת ברעש. So that saves you from the dying in the earthquake. ובמלחמה יפתך מידי חרב, and in war he will. Now I'm wondering if my dog is hungry, which is more surprising because she eats usually in the mornings. I think she still has food. She does. So I don't know why she's. I don't know what. Happy, come. What do you want? I'm going to say hi to the people. Say hi to the people. Okay. למשל, שאיש אחד עורב עליך להרגך, that somebody wants to come and kill you בחרב, ועל ידי שהוא שעת מלחמה sorry, my thing went off. Okay. That since it's a time of war, chagarta kli zayin letzet el milchama, you had weapons on you, upaga bach ovecha lahargacha, and your enemy comes to kill you, ועל ידי שהיית מזוין נצלת מידו. And because it was wartime, you were armed, you were saved. ואם לא היה עת מלחמה, היה הורג אותך, and if it wasn't so, you wouldn't have a weapon and he would have killed you, כי לא היה בידך כלי זין לעמוד כנגדו. בשו"ת לשון, לפעמים ימשול בך בעל הלשון לענות בך שרה לפני מלך ושרים עד שנתנו אותך אל בית האיסורים. So, and sometimes people will speak against you in such a way to the king and his ministers that you would end up in prison. וזה היה לטובתך, and that would be a good thing for you. שעל ידי כן תחווה ולא תראה משוד כי יבוא. And in such a way you would be saved, שבתוך כך בא שוד ושבר על העיר, that there was a destruction that came to the city, ואתה היית נחבא בבית האסורים וניצלת, and you were in the prison and you were saved from it. או שעל ידי כן לשון ולחפן המוכן לבוא תשחק, and therefore you would laugh at the destruction that was going to come. So here apparently he's quoting from the Talmud in Nida. או כדי שמחיית הארץ המוכנים לבוא להשחית את העיר אל תירא, you would not worry that people were coming to destroy the city. כי היית בעת ההיא עצור במצודה חזקה בבית המשמר, וניצלת מן הפגעים שהתרגשו אז על העיר, ולפי זה הרעה שבאה עליך היה לטובתך. כמו שכתבו חז"ל, שאמרו חז"ל, משל לשני בני אדם שרצו לפרוש בים. So he's explaining this, so we'll read from the translation. Like two men who set out on a trading expedition, and one of them began to blaspheme and malign when a thorn stuck in him, and he had to cancel his journey. Subsequently, however, when he heard that his friend's ship had sunk in the sea, he began to glorify and praise God. To God, even a person for whom a miracle is performed is unaware of the miracle. בים וישב לחד קוץ ברגלו ונטבע הספינה. אם כן היה הקוץ שישב ברגלו לטובתו. Okay, so I mean, כי על ידי ההשגחה החופפת עליך תהיה נשמר כל כך עד שגם אם אבני השדה יהיה לך כריתת ברית שלא יקפו רגליך. So he's explaining the words, right? That you would have a covenant with the rocks of the field. He's saying that you wouldn't even stumble over them, etc. Right? וגם חיות הטורפות ישלימו אותך בלי ייגעו בך, וזה דומה למה שכתוב אדון הנביאים על המושגח על כפיים ישנוך פן תיגוף באבן רגליך על שחל ופתן תדרוך. I don't know where he's quoting from. It's either, I mean, when he says Adon HaNevi'im, usually that we're referring to Moses, probably in Deuteronomy, but like I don't remember where these verses are from, and it doesn't say. V'yadata achar shaba'ar ki hashkachat Hashem hi hamoshelet al metzadei gaver lo hamazal v'hamaracha. And you should know that it's God who runs things and not constellations. Omer shagam hashlosha devarim hamiyuchedim shehem banai chayai umazonei. The three special things, which are children, long life, and person's sustenance. Asher amru alehem shelo bezchuta talya milta rak b'mazla talya. That the Talmud says that these things depend on a person's fortune. Gam elem et hashkacha yetzau mimena yavo alecha. These are also through divine providence. V'neged mezoneh shehem tzarchei habayit hamachal u'mishteh v'ksut teda ki shalom yihya alecha. So he's explaining the three things within the words, right? So when it says peace will be in your tents, that means mezoni, right? That's your material needs. Lo yachsar kol bo ve'et tafkod noch לדעת אם נמצא שם כל צרכי בני בית לא תחטא. הוא רוצה לומר לא תחסר כל הצריך ונגד בניי אומר וידעת כי רב זרעך הגדולים, right? So, and the next verse where is regarding children, when it says you will know the greatness of your seed, וצאצאיך קטנים יפרו כעשב הארץ ונגד חיי אומר, and the last one, verse 26, תבוא בחלך עלי קבר כגדיש אשר ילוהו בעיתו בעת יישא על אומותיו. Right? So when it comes to reaping, right, you're going to reap when you get to the grave, like it says in verse 26. Okay. הנה, לעומת מה שהטעם הראשון שאמר לו על ייסורי הצדיקים, שהוא לכפר עוון ולהתם חטאת קטן שחטאו ולא השלימו עבודתם כפי הצריך נגד הקל וערך עבודתו, הוא הגיע בנבואה והוא הטעם העיקרי אצלו. כי לפי דעתו השיג הטעם זה ברוח הקודש. So the main reason is that which he got from the Holy Spirit, but through prophecy, right? Is the first thing he said, right? That bad things happen to righteous people in order to wipe away their small sins. אומר שהטעמים שהגיד אתה שיבואו עליהם ייסורים להצילה מרעה עתידה, things come for to keep him from future. אינו עיקר בעיניו, this isn't the important thing. כי טעמים אלה יאמר מצד החקירה, this is what he understood, שעל זה אמר הנה זאת היינו טעם זה חקרנוה שכן הוא. This is what we looked into and we understood. ודברי המחקר יש רשות לכל אדם לבחון אותו משקול דעתו. Like, and these are things which each person can understand to the best of his ability. ואם לא ייטב בעיניו, טעם זה לא יקבלהו. Right? If he doesn't, it doesn't make sense to him, he doesn't have to keep it. ועל זה אמר שמענה ואתה דע לך. רוצה לומר חקור עליה ודע מצד בינתך אם ייטב טעם זה בעיניך אם לא. And you can look into it and see if you like it or not. Okay. That was chapter 5. Now, first of all, I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble with some. Well, it's only 1 minute. Okay. Hopefully, I won't get whatchamacallit. I won't get a copyright strike. So there's some guy, I think this is in Israel or might be some guy on the internet. He said he like points things out and he's like, is this a Jewish thing or like, is it a Goyish thing? Is it a Gentile thing? Because he doesn't like people dressing like Chazi does, like a Gentile all the time, you know, with his blurit and his jeans and his things. So, and this has become a popular thing on the internet. So, here we go. So, yeah, should a yeshiva student cut his hair the way Chazi does? He goes with a well, apparently it's called Tisporet Maliot in Hebrew. Like it's kind of like a mohawk, I guess.
תספורת של גוי, של יהודי, גוי.
Apparently, this is another thing people do. All right.
תספורת שוקו וניל, זה יהודי או גוי? גוי.
People like this way too much.
פלורית, זה תספורת.
Fluorite, which is what I constantly tell Chezi he needs to be a little worried about, because you put your tefillin on, you should it's your hair on top shouldn't be so long that it gets in the way of your tefillin.
של יהודי או גוי?
Yeah.
גוי! מכנסיים! צמודים כמו נקניקי המיס...
What do the Christians call this? There's the skinny jeans that the youth pastors wear.
פלוסי! זה גוי היהודי! זה גוי! שתי מקלות של מטאטא של סנוקר הולכות. אתה גנב! אתה גנב!
I have no idea what he's saying. You're a thief. Why Barney is a thief, I have no idea. That I'm surprised.
מה יש לך? למה את בוכה? אין לי מושג.
אוי! מה יש לך?
I have zero idea what his problem is. Like, I mean, she doesn't have a comb. Like, you know, why?
גרביונים עם כוכבים. שמעתם? פעם כוכבים חשבתי רק בשמיים. הם ירדו לגרביונים.
This, I mean, honestly, like, I don't even understand how a religious person broadcasts some of these pictures.
משקה חדש יצא. פסיפלורה משוגעת. ראשי תיבות פסיכי מטומטם. גימטריה.
So it says, so the passion fruit, it's meshugat means makes you go crazy, and he's saying that it's is meshugat. I'm not even sure what he's saying is gematria imbecile, but
אבל יש כאלה צועקים.
I have no idea who this guy is. What did Barney do? Well, WhatsApp I understand, because religious people Haredi people spend way too much time on things. His name is Avraham Baruch. I didn't know this guy. Apparently, he was previously secular before becoming a Haredi rabbi. He seems to be quite brazen in his show. He has a show that could be satire. It kind of seems like it might be. As I said, couldn't find many resources on this guy. Avraham Baruch. I don't know who Avraham Baruch is. Avraham Baruch. Shuvu Banim. I mean, Shuvu Banim is it's Rabbi whatchamacallit, isn't it? Shuvu Banim was Rabbi Berland? No, I was thinking the Yemenite guy. I don't know. Shuvu Banim International. I don't know who Rabbi Berland is. The Stipler was a chavrusa of the Stipler. Okay. I mean, if he was, I don't know if I so easily believe he was. He was in the Chazon Ish's Kollel and was a chavrusa of the Stipler. Chavrusa of the Stipler? If he was, he was. I don't know. Yeah, Chavrusa of the Stipler. Yeah, I don't know. Like, oh, you guys weren't watching this. As like, he doesn't look so young, but a Chavrusa of the Stipler, and apparently now he's a Breslov Chassid. Chavrusa of the Stipler. I don't know. I had a rebbe like that. Tried to get us to stop eating pizza and sushi because it wasn't Jewish food. Really? Like I've never heard that about pizza and sushi. Well, the problem with pizza and sushi is people don't wash. That's the problem with pizza and sushi. The problem is not that it's not Jewish food. The problem is with sushi. Well, at least if you're a Chabad Chassid, you're supposed to wash with sushi. Because Chabad, when it comes to rice, they're actually supposed to wash. Believe it or not, which is why Chabad doesn't serve rice as much as you might think. And with pizza, almost nobody washes. So, like, it's got to be Zamir Cohen. Is that no? Hida Brut guy? Yeah, I don't like Chavrusa of the Stipler in the Chazon Ish Kollel. I've never heard of this Rav Berlin. If he was a Chavrusa of the Stipler, if this is true, may he live long and teach well. I don't know what to tell you, but he claims that Rav Shalom Arush, Rav Shmuel Stern, I don't know these other names, Moshe Tzanani, Ofer Erez, and Elia Sukkot are his students. I don't understand how I would not have heard of this Rabbi Berland if he has been the teacher of such well-known, like, how do I know the students and not his thing? As we understand, I have been appointed to the most important rabbinic courts in Israel to serve as the basis of the Rav and the Chassid Rabbi Shlita. Based in the Ada Haredis. I don't even understand what this is all about. If this is, I mean, I don't even understand why this is in English. Where's the Hebrew Hachraza? This is, I mean, it's very strange to print this Hachraza. Must be him. That must be this guy, because like I don't even understand. Like here, I'll pull up the Hachraza again. This is, why is he printing this in English? supposedly it's Badat's it's Ada Horedes and Badat's Zichron Meir and the Av Beis Din of Bnei Barak. Like, why is this in English? And there's no date. The date is Monday 21st of Sivan. What year? Like, I don't understand what this is. I mamish, I don't understand what this is. Oh. Mamish, I don't understand what this is. All I can say is I would be very, 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 very careful before believing the claims on this website. And we'll leave it at that. Okay. So is it Eliezer? Yeah, Eliezer Berland. Yeah, so that's the guy. Uh-huh. Okay. So we have it from Mipi Ed Achad, Kalanimus Eliezer here says, stay away from this guy. And I would stay away from this guy. Okay. Do I really want to? Huh. Oh. It has been said that he was a chavruta of the Stipler. Who said it? This has been disputed by the Stipler's family. Yeah. Oy. What a fraud. So they did an interim thing while they were investigating. They said people shouldn't speak about it. And then when they came to their conclusion, they said, wow. So this is the actual, let me find the actual Beis Din ruling. Wow. So this is the actual Hakraza. Okay, so this is what the Beis Din actually said. Here's the translation from Yeshiva World. And this really does have some real rabbis behind it. At the request of many, a special Beis Din was convened to investigate the rumors that have come out against the leader of the Shuvu Banim community. In its proceedings, explicit testimony was collected and proofs to actions that must never be done, some of them of the most serious nature. It is clear that according to our holy Torah, a person who does not observe matters of the three cardinal sins and their derivatives, Hashem Yirachamenu, someone who is concerned about his soul must stay away from him, and we are obligated to observe this. The matter is very serious, since some of his students and followers have, heaven forbid, rationalized that it is permitted for a tzaddik to perform any matter of sin, Shem Yerachem, and this has even been publicized in published works. These matters are to be considered complete heresy in the fundamentals of our religion. We must uproot and remove this apicorsis, this heresy, from within us. Doing so will fulfill the verse, and all this people also shall go to their place in peace. Shemot is Exodus 18:23, and signed by all of the top rabbis of the Haredi world. Okay. Murder people. I mean, they said Gimel Chamorot, so Gimel Chamorot, whatever those are. Wow. Okay. God should have mercy on us and on whoever he has mercy. Okay. Wow. So there we go. That's the only place I found this guy. That's where I found this guy Avram Baruch as well. So he might not be related, actually. I don't know. I don't know who Avram Baruch is, but whatever. Okay, I learned something I did not know about this. This was how long ago was this? This was 2020. It's 4 years ago. Okay. God have mercy. Okay, let's move on to better things. We were talking about sushi. So no. So with rice, the question is it borem mine mezonot? Is it shahakol? Is it bore pri adama with rice? And apparently, the Alter Rebbe's psak is that it is shahakol. But I think the Rebbe said that it's best to eat it, to wash on bread and eat it in a seuda, to not fall under safek. And frankly, even though I say mezonot because that's what Rav Ovadia says on rice, and figured being Persian, it makes sense. I mean, it really seems to me that the Alter Rebbe might have the right of it, that if it were up to me, that maybe you should say at least Adama, if not Shakol, because it's a safek, right? And if it's a safek, it seems to me like it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, that's my thing. Nobody's coming on. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody loves me. Why is my... Everyone in the world believes something different. Why do you say you're correct? Who said I am correct? I hope not. I like this camera, and it was $100. I've had it for a while. I think Shadow likes to play with the cord. Shadow. There she is. Yeah, gotcha. It's all your fault. Say hi, Shadow. It's all your fault. Okay. What we could do. Don says hi. I am just going to point out that Caleb. So I already listened to part 1. I haven't listened to part 2. Caleb did this really long response to my $5,000 challenge, and like the first part was like 2 hours long, and this is like 3 hours long, and he really went on a deep dive on Psalm 110. It's actually beautiful. Let me put a link to his channel. Okay. So if you guys want, you can go watch that. And I think I might just end the stream. Good night, people.